Government says 2016 budget holds a bright promise, but minority calls it a dead goat.
A look at the tourism potentials of Boti Falls.
And Myanmar's opposition National League for Democracy wins landslide victory. Good evening. Welcome to the studios of GBC24 and GTV. It's time to update you on events. I'm Akushika Akwe.
And I'm Conrad Kakraba, and Robert Frimpomanso is doing the sign language translation.
Finance Minister Seth Terkper on Friday presented to Parliament the 2016 budget statement and economic policy for the country. It is hinged on 4 thematic areas of putting people first, building a strong and resilient economy, expanding infrastructure and ensuring accountability and good governance. And
this seeks to expand the economy from 3.5% to 5.4% and reduce the inflation rate from 17.4% to 10%. Mr. Terkper said the budget will ensure fiscal discipline and control expenditure even in the election year.
And we'll bring you that story later. But the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission's PURC is interrogating proposals brought to its attention by utility service providers. This follows stakeholder consultations and public hearings in respect of the provision of utility services in the country.
The service providers with proposals at a PURC meeting in Accra include the Northern Electricity Distribution Company NEDCO, ECG and GRIDCO. And after the interrogation process, the service providers would be requested to publish key highlights of their proposals in the media for the public to comment on.
By law, producers of water and electricity have the right to present proposals for an adjustment in tariffs. However, there are processes that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has to follow before reaching any major decision on the request for a tariff adjustment. As a first step, there were stakeholder consultations and public hearings. As part of the process, the Commission has been interrogating the proposals brought forth by the utility service providers.
You're operating under a certain tariff regime in 2015, and we've had all these outages. What it meant was that you could not supply the energy that you had budgeted to supply. Okay.
Now, when I look at your routine maintenance 2015, the line particularly, and then the projections up to 2017, I'm wondering what factors were considered in projecting an increase of 582.41 in 2015, rising steeply and significantly within 2 years to 906.93. What are the reasons?
You are charging all those services on top of the two markets. So we need to understand those two.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, for instance, is proposing an increase in tariffs, which it says will make the company more efficient. The ongoing load shedding is having an adverse effect on their equipment, which have to be intermittently switched on and off in the rationing of power. ECG contends that the proposed increase would help them change some of the affected equipment and construct new substations. Besides, the company will also be in a position to buy more power from the independent power producers to mitigate shortage in power supply, complete ongoing expansion works, and also carry out new projects. The Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, is proposing to be weaned off the Volta River Authority, as that will give them autonomy to be able to deliver better services to the public. As more independent power producers are expected to come on board, the Ghana Grid Company, GRIDCO, has made proposals that will help it to expand to meet the distribution needs of the country. The Director of Public Relations and External Affairs of the PURC, Nanaya Jantua, tells GBC24 that the decision to increase or not to increase utility tariffs can only be arrived at after all the technical proposals have been taken on board.
This is one of the areas where the decision, whatever comes out, will inform them what kind of decision they have to take, together with everything that has happened with the stakeholder consultations. Hearing. The outcome will be an in-depth understanding of exactly what the utilities are asking for. The outcome will be a platform for the Commission to take the right decision that will to protect the interest of the consumer and also look at the financial viability of the utility service provider.
The PURC is mandated by law to provide guidelines on rates chargeable for the provision of utility services, examine and approve rates chargeable for the provision of utility services, and protect the interests of consumers and utility service providers.
Let's go back to our earlier story where Finance Minister Seth Tekpe on Friday presented to Parliament the 2016 budget statement and economic policy for the country. It is hinged on 4 thematic areas of putting people first, building a strong and resilient economy, and expanding infrastructure and ensuring accountability and good governance. Armed with his suitcase and flanked by his 2 deputies and the chief director of the Finance Ministry, a smiling Mr. Seth Tekpe walked into Parliament House. In that suitcase was the budget statement and economic policy to guide Ghana into 2016, which is also an election year. Reviewing the country's economic performance in 2015, Mr. Tekpe said the economy in the past 3 years suffered major shocks from disruptions in gas supply for 2.5 years and simultaneous falls in gold and cocoa prices. Also, the Ghana cedi in 2015 depreciated against the US dollar, euro and pound sterling by an average of about 14%. But he said government's measures put in place were able to sustain the economy in 2015. Therefore, the 2016 budget is built on the success chalked up in 2015. The 2016 budget statement and economic policies themed consolidating progress towards a brighter medium term. According to the Finance Minister, the consolidation agenda hinges on government's commitment to promoting fiscal discipline based on enhanced domestic revenue mobilization, prudent public expenditure management, improved debt management, and the implementation of reforms in key areas of the economy.
The macroeconomic targets for 2016 are as follows. Overall GDP growth, including oil, of 5.4%. Non-oil real GDP growth of 5.2%. An end-year inflation target of 10.1%. Overall budget deficit equivalent to 5.3% of GDP, and gross international reserves of no less than 3 months of import cover for goods and services.
According to him, fiscal policy over the medium term will aim to progressively reduce the fiscal deficit from 5.3% of GDP in 2016 to 3.0% of GDP by 2018. He said this reduction will be driven by revenue and expenditure through revenue administration reforms, improved public financial management and expenditure rationalization to improve the efficiency of public spending.
Provisional data as at the end of September 2015 indicate that the public debt to GDP ratio is 69.12% compared to 70.1% at the end of December 2015. On nominal basis, the provisional debt stock as at the end of September 2015 stood at 92.2 billion or 24.3 billion US dollars. Compared to an end 2014 stock of 79.6 billion Ghana cedis or 24.8 billion US dollars. Mr. Speaker, the plateauing is notable in the foreign currency denominated debt figures. Mr. Speaker, the key lessons from our macroeconomic performance for 2015 and fiscal consolidation to date include the need to continue building buffers such as the stabilization fund and its derivative contingency and sinking funds.
Mr. Tekpe said to ensure that government's financing needs and payment obligations are met at the lowest possible cost over the medium to long term, a debt management strategy was developed to provide more cost-efficient access to the international and domestic capital markets.
And while the majority in Parliament describes the 2016 budget as one with a bright future, the minority says the budget cannot save the economy from its present problems. Here are some views.
We are talking about a record. You can always talk, we are going to do this, we are going. The question is, what have you done? You've had 7 years in government. What have you done? I mean, your record should speak for itself. You shouldn't be waiting for the 8th year. The IMF, they can point to even a lot. Oh, yes.
They will point to the rich hospital. They will point to
when the Kufuor administration was there, with such meager resources, so much can be pointed to as well. Infrastructure, as John Mahama says, if you point to infrastructure, you are engaging in an exercise of mediocrity. The NPP can point to solid record.
The Minister of Finance was very clear about the bold steps that have been taken. He talked about major projects like the 10, the completion of the Atumabo gas processing plant, the OCTP project that will finally see Ghana very independent when it comes to indigenous gas supply. But that's not the story. He also talked about more additions of generation. We can only address these power problems with a combination of the efforts that are being made. And I think President Mahama will be remembered for this aggressive focus on addressing the power sector, not only in terms of generation, but in terms of massive infrastructure of bringing more gas to address those thermal plants that we will need.
My impression about the 2016 budget is that it's a pragmatic budget that is looking to help us to position ourselves to be able to put in place the right financial and regulatory mechanisms to attract investment into our economy, which is what we are expected to do as we move from being considered as a developing country with access to financial facilities that developing countries would be able to have access to, as against a lower middle income country where we are now going to have to go onto the commercial market for most of our financing.
So I had wanted to see that we have budgeted this to cater for that. And it will be coming from A, B, and C. I didn't see that. I think that President need to really open his eyes very, very well. Other than that, I would say he should sack Tekpe and his team for this budget.
Minutes.
And while the minority in Parliament is predicting that, contrary to government's pledge to stay within the budget targets in 2016, it is bound to veer off in the electioneering year. At a news conference in Parliament House, the MPP described the 2016 budget as one that lacks the momentum to solve the numerous challenges facing the economy.
After the Finance Minister, Mr. Seth Tekpe, had delivered the 2016 budget to Parliament, the minority MPP stated their position on the 2016 financial statement. According to the MPP, the 2016 budget is no different from the 7 previous budgets delivered by the NDC government. They describe the current budget as a dead goat budget. According to the MPP, the government has failed to utilize the revenue generated to the benefit of the Ghanaian.
No government in the history of Ghana has had the amount of resources in terms of tax revenue, cocoa exports, gold exports, oil revenues, and loans, and I repeat, loans, as this NDC government. The financial resources that have been available to this government are actually mind-boggling.
The MPP repeated its claim that government will lay off workers in 2017 as part of the IMF arrangements.
We know, lest we forget, that government has committed under the IMF ECF program to lay off workers after 2016. Let me repeat. He has committed to lay off workers after elections, and it is in the IMF document.
The minority say they will address the nation on Thursday, November 26th, on their alternative solutions to the country's economic challenges.
Wesley Girls Senior High School is still in the news. Many candidates of the Basic Education Certificate examinations who passed and were placed in that school have been turned away by the headmistress. The situation has moved Vice President Kwesi Misa Arthur to the school and has pledged government's resolve to embark on emergency infrastructural developments to contain students who have been duly placed in the school.
For some time now, there have been bad reports about the Wesley Girls High School in the Central Region. The headmistress, Mrs. Betty Jokoto, is reported to have turned down many girls who have passed and been placed in this girls' school. Some parents allege that the school sometimes accepts candidates with lesser grades who are relatives of very important personalities at the expense of those with better grades but with no protocol arrangements. What is even worse is that the school examines the few fortunate ones who gain admission there and give them courses other than what the Ghana Education Service approved for the students. This year, many parents have reportedly been lodging at hotels in Cape Coast for the past 3 weeks just to make their visit to the Wesley Girls High School easier, with the hope of securing admission for their wards. But the headmistress, Mrs. Jokoto, would not even explain anything to anybody. This is what led the Vice President, Kwesi Mr. Arthur, and a team from the Ministry of Education to visit the school and find out what has gone wrong. After a closed-door session, the team inspected some facilities under construction, which the headmistress claimed were unavailable, making it difficult to admit the number of girls placed in the school. It came to light that the assembly hall under construction was almost complete and could be used, while a 2-story classroom block, which had developed cracks and was not being used for safety reasons, could also be fixed in a couple of months.
When you get a contractor now, he can start immediately with the aprons and then the drains and then the retention of the slopes. We can use about a week to give him drawings on the retention walls for the retention of the slope. Then inside those cracks, he can even start today if he's around, cut open and then refill. And then the plaster work, you can start peeling them off when we start work.
The science laboratory was 95% complete. The Vice President insisted that this facility could double as a classroom for some students so as to make room for the intake of more students. After the tour of projects, no amount of words will convince worried parents who demanded admissions for their wards.
We have a number of parents who are holding admissions letters to this very school. And because of challenges in infrastructure, the school is unable to admit as we speak now. We've gone around the school this afternoon and we have identified the problems ourselves. In the coming days or in the coming weeks, the minister will do everything within its powers to provide necessary infrastructure so that we'll be able to admit the leftovers, the number of children who are supposed to be here and are not here. So the only thing I would ask the parents to exercise a lot of patience, restraint, until we are able to provide this infrastructure within a matter of a few weeks. You will be called and your children will be admitted.
Is it possible that we are giving admission letters at least, because our names are already here, I know and I believe that, so that once we have our admission letters, we can go and rest in the house. Whatever time that is given to us to report, we'll patiently do that. But for us to live here for 3 weeks and go back home, our husbands will go and cut our head off, because our hotel bills alone will pay school fees for three times.
Mr. Arthur gave them the assurance that the government will fix the problem for the affected students to be admitted.
We have identified a number of steps that we take in the next few days that will allow for your children to come to the school. We'll make sure that your children come to the school as promised by the letters, the admission letters that you have, and that we'll be able to do that. We can have some more discussions with you on how soon, after we've consulted with the headmistress, on the various things that we've agreed to do immediately, today, tomorrow, and the next week. So that's the reason we are here. We are all with you in this, and we know that we'll be able to solve it quickly.
Although some sources in the school allege that money changes hands at the computer placement center for candidates who do not qualify to be placed in Wesley Girls School, all the parents demand is that their children be admitted so they can also enjoy the basic right to education. GBC24.
Still on education, in the next decade, the University of Ghana hopes to become a world-class research-intensive university. Its 4 centers of excellence have each received 1 million Ghana cedis as seed money to develop research areas in climate change adaptation, malaria research, food production and processing, and development policy and poverty monitoring and evaluation. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Ernest Ayete, made this known at a joint congregation of the College of Health Health Sciences and the College of Basic and Applied Sciences.
This joint congregation is part of the 6 congregations to be held by the university over the next 2 days. For the College of Health Sciences, degrees were presented in the category of Doctor of Philosophy, Master of Philosophy, Master of Public Health, Master of Science, Bachelor of Sciences and Bachelor of Public Health. At the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, 5 students were awarded Doctor of Philosophy, others were awarded Master of Philosophy, Master of Engineering and Diploma in Statistics and Agriculture. In his report, the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Ernest Aiti, described the state of the University of Ghana as very good because of the ongoing projects to enhance teaching and learning.
The university signed a $64 million agreement with Africa Integras earlier this year, structured as a 25-year build, operate and transfer project. The project involves the construction of an expanded facility for the College of Humanities, a new building complex for the College of Education, a new dedicated facility for the College of Basic and Applied Sciences, as well as a new facility for the College of Health Sciences to be located near the new medical center.
The Managing Director of MedLab Ghana, Dr. Rosemary Keatley, urged the graduating students to remain committed, responsible and disciplined.
As professionals, you're expected to be highly skilled, competent, and knowledgeable. You have to maintain your knowledge through continuous learning during your working life, as change in these fields are extremely rapid.
In 1999, the College of Health Sciences became the first college to be established by the university, while the College of Basic and Applied Sciences opened its doors in August 2014.
The tourism sector in Ghana is largely undeveloped, even though it has the potential to rake in the much-needed foreign exchange earnings. A major feature of Ghana's tourism mix is waterfalls. This gift of nature is a key player in the nation's domestic tourism. Today, we take you on a journey to the Boti Falls in the Manyakrobo district of the Eastern region.
The eastern region of Ghana is home to many tourist attractions, including beautiful natural scenery. Mountains and valleys beckon the curious traveler on his way to Boti Falls. A waterfall is usually created when there is a sharp break in the course of a river or stream, so that the water drops down from a height. The splash and sloshing of the water, coupled the chill within the virgin environment, provides a thrill to holidaymakers. The Boti Falls is about 90 minutes drive from Accra. This fall was discovered in 1950 by a hunter called Tetengwa. For some time, the fall was known only to the indigenes of the area and friends of the Catholic father he introduced it to. In the early 1960s, however, Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, upon realizing the potential and beauty of the fall, requested that the Eastern Regional Minister at the time, one Emmanuel Humphrey Tete Kobo, build a 2-bedroom rest house and the 250-step stairway to the falls. After descending the stairway, this is what lies in the forest, the waterfalls. Boti is originally not the name given to it. Tetengwa, upon discovering it, led a Roman Catholic father, a white man, to the falls, and during their interaction, the white man asked him where the water was coming from. The hunter answered in Twi, "Ebuoniti," which literally means the top of the rock, but the white man couldn't pronounce Ebuoniti and simply said, "Boti." Since then, the name has come to stay. The source of the water is Ahenkwa, which is about 25 miles from Boti, also in the eastern region. It is called River Pompom. But before it goes to Boti, it is divided into two by a tree stump and a stone. The height of the fall is 30.3 meters high. The force of gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared, which can generate electricity in the peak rainy season. It is also believed that the waterfalls are gods. Asian traditional priests detected that when one faces the falls, the left is a female and the right a male. So, previously, it had taboos which forbade women in their menstrual period to visit the place. Moreover, golden ornaments and funeral cloth were also not allowed to be taken into the water when one was swimming in it. But today, only women in their menses are not allowed to bathe in the river. Over here, one only has to pay a small fee to have an experience of a lifetime with nature.
This beautiful scene you are seeing is an indication that Ghana is indeed blessed by nature. However, our coming here today has been made possible because this place has been fully harnessed. If other places are also harnessed to their full potential, Ghana can indeed be the destination for all tourists from across the world. Michelin Taka, GBC24, Boti Falls, Eastern Region.
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation TV license train on Friday stopped at the Ghana Prison Service headquarters in Accra to sensitize the staff of the service on the TV license. The prison's staff took the opportunity to register and pay their TV license fees.
The China Central Television CCTV Plus is a subsidiary of China's main broadcasting network, CCTV. CCTV Plus is a news agency set up 5 years ago to disseminate news and video signals as well as archival materials on international news from the Chinese perspective to media organizations and production companies across the globe. The agency relies on news content from international news agencies like Reuters and the Associated Press AP and uploads them onto global online news distribution system. Currently, CCTV Plus releases an average of 80 news stories per day, with 130 scripts in English, French, Russian, Arabic and Spanish. The agency already has correspondents in Africa, especially Kenya, who upload stories from across the continent to the CCTV Plus distribution system. The agency has launched the Africa Link project to ensure that news from China and beyond are distributed to mainstream media houses in Africa and vice versa. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation is one of the media institutions that CCTV Plus hopes to partner in its news exchange and sharing program. Ms. Guo Cindy, the sales specialist at the marketing department of the CCTV Plus, says the agency and GBC will sign an agreement early next year to begin the exchange program.
And so, pardon us for playing the wrong tape. That story was rather about a collaboration between the GBC and China Central Television News Agency, CCTV Plus, on a project called the Africa Link to exchange news items. And so let's go back to the earlier story where the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation TV license train on Friday stopped at the prison's service headquarters in Accra.
TV license in Ghana, definitely a wind of change.
Since the commencement of the collection of the revised television license fee in August this year, the GBC television license team has been going round the country educating people about the fee. At the Ghana Prison Service headquarters at Cantonment in Accra, the TV license team, led by their head, Reverend Ebenezer Butchie, explained why it is necessary to pay the fee and the laws governing the collection. Mr. Butchie also briefed the staff on the types of television license, the amount payable under each type, and online registration process. He said modes of payment other than the use of banks and post offices will be introduced later.
I believe that you've had the impact of the FIACE project, right? And the role that GBC is playing. So assuming GBC was not there, how would it be like? GBC belongs to all of us. Everything government is going down. And would we, in our time, sit down for GBC also to go down? I believe your answer will be no.
After a question and answer session, the Ghana Prison Service staff registered and paid their television license fees. The Director of Technical Services at the Ghana Prison Service, Mr. Stephen Kofi, spoke about the need to pay television license fee.
We have been made to understand that this is not just for the programs that are being shown, but it's for the ownership of the sets itself. So I entreat each and everyone, all prison officers and Ghanaians to ensure that we go ahead and support GBC by paying our licenses.
The team is still encouraging the public to come forward and pay the television license fee.
We're taking you back to the Central Region, where the third Conference of Coordinating Directors has opened in Cape Coast with a call on participants to capitalize on fiscal decentralization to expand state monies judiciously. Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur believes that prudent use of Assembly's resources can help facilitate development and remove waste at the local level. Here's a report by Nuto Bibini Nuto.
Since Ghana chose the path to democracy in 1992, she has consciously increased efforts at deepening citizen participation in governance through devolution of power from the central to local level administrations, and coordinating directors play a crucial role in this decentralization process. They come second to metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives serving as non-political spending officers. The annual conference is expected to help participants compare notes from across various districts, as well as share ideas on best practices to help strengthen the system. A deputy local government minister, Neil Lantivanderpoy, and head of the local government service, Dr. Callistus Mahama, recounted some progress made as a result of key performance indicators contained in recent performance contracts signed by the directors.
These contracts were tailored towards the medium-term development plans of all the MMDAs, which also took issues from the Ghana Shared Growth and Development Agenda. Your Excellency, so far we have done an assessment of the performance contract of all the regional coordinating councils, and I'm happy to report that the findings so far point to a very positive conclusion.
As drivers and managers of development at the local level, it is incumbent on you to provide transparent, accountable, insightful, visionary, and exemplary leadership, as this is not an option but an obligation on you.
Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur reminded the coordinating directors of the changing nature of decentralization and how it is effecting change in lives, a trend that requires prudence and integrity in the practice.
The integrity of the work of spending officers require that you do not permit the finances to be used to perform functions that have not been authorized or budgeted. So the responsibility to be prudent in the utilization of the finances of the Assembly are yours, and you must take that responsibility seriously.
Topics being discussed include health and education, performance management, ethics in public administration, and fiscal discipline for improved service delivery, among others.
We're taking you into the world of business.
You are welcome to the world of business by courtesy of EcoBank, Hisense and Airtel. My name is Esther Adu. Provisional data from the Finance Ministry shows that Ghana's new public debt now stands at 92,161.84 million Ghana cedis as of September 2015. The debt stock is made up of 54,488.26 million Ghana cedis for external debt. The Finance Minister, Mr. Sektekwe, said the government is putting in place effective debt management systems to control the rising public debt.
Provisional data as at the end of September 2015 indicate that the public debt to GDP ratio is 69.12% compared to 70.1% at the end of December 2015. On nominal basis, the provisional debt stock as at the end of September 2015 stood at 92.2 billion or 24.3 billion US dollars, compared to an end 2014 stock of 79.6 billion Ghana cedis or 24.8 billion US dollars. Mr. Speaker, the plateauing is notable in the foreign currency denominated debt figures. Mr. Speaker, The key lessons from our macroeconomic performance for 2015 and fiscal consolidation to date include the need to continue building buffers such as the Stabilization Fund and its derivative contingency and sinking funds. After some initial implementation difficulties, we are now on course to making the proceeds from commercial and quasi-commercial projects pay fully or partially for the loans that finance them. This will stop the unsustainable habit of relying on the taxpayer to pay for all the nation's debt service commitments.
In line with current trends on the international oil market, government is projecting that a barrel of oil will hover around $53.05 in 2016. According to the finance minister, the figure will form the basis for government's oil revenue expectations next year. A drastic fall in oil prices had a toll on government's revenue in the 2015 financial year.
In the 2015 budget, government projected a barrel of oil was likely to hit $99, resulting in a revenue target of $4.8 billion. However, a drop in oil prices from around $100 a barrel to $50 reduced this target to $1.8 billion, a huge blow to expenditure. Moving into 2016, the finance minister pegs a barrel of oil at a new rate of $53.05, a figure the government describes as realistic.
The tumbling of crude oil prices to a low $45 per barrel at a point compared to the benchmark revenue projection of $99.38 per barrel in the 2015 budget. Mr. Speaker, it will be recalled that this prompted government to come to this House to revise its revenue targets and related expenditures in which were originally funded under the ABFA.
Currently, a barrel of oil sells at $45. If the figure remains same throughout 2016, government will still make a loss of about $8 on each barrel of oil lifted from the Jubilee field. With a current projection of $53.05 a barrel, the government hopes the price does not plummet from the current price of $45 a barrel.
Away from the budget, Sean Lau Ventures based at East Legon has won the grand prize of the Unibank 360 promotion in Accra. Sean walks away with a whopping 360,000 Ghana cedis cash in addition to an 18,000 Ghana cedis power inverter. The head of business execution at Unibank, Mr. Richard Anane, said the promotion is aimed at rewarding customers of the bank and also reduce the unbanked population in the country.
Bank has branches dotted all over the country, with SME banking high on its radar. To reward its loyal customers, the bank launched the Super 360 promotion a few months ago. The promo was designed to cushion customers in the midst of the current economic challenges. There were 2 mini draws held in Kumasi and Koforidua. At the final draw in Accra, the executive director of Unibank, Mr. Owusu Ansa Are, called on customers of the bank to brace up for more exciting times with the bank in the coming year.
We intend to have a radical change in our products, services, but especially the processes and the speed with which we deliver on our promises.
The draw was held on zonal basis with 4 winners from each zone. The first prize for each zone was 15,000 Ghana cedis cash. The zones were later merged into one, where Sean Lau Ventures, based at East Legon, won the grand prize of 360,000 Ghana cedis. The chairman of the promotion committee, Mr. Isaac Palomeras, said such promotions help to keep the bank above the competition in the banking industry, earning it the prize as the best bank with product innovation in the banking awards. The head of business execution at Unibank, Mr. Richard Anane, described the promotion as one of the bank's platforms created to bring Ghanaians who are outside the banking net into the formal system.
For these 3 months, we've had new customers who have come to save with us. There was no COT deduction. And at least for saving 3 months, there will be interest that you earn. Almost 60% of the Ghanaian population, that is those who earn some income, do not have banking. They are unbanked, meaning that the monies that they have is not within the banking sector for the banking sector to mobilize and also give it out.
Some customers who witnessed the draw also received consolation prizes through a lucky dip.
We go to the central region where the National Investment Bank has opened a new branch network at Aguna-Swedru in the central region. This brings to 3 the NIB's branches in the central region. Opening the new branch, the Municipal Chief Executive of Aguna West, Mr. Samuel Sapun, called on NIB to develop strategies to increase savings.
The NIB was incorporated as an autonomous joint state-private institution in March 22, 1963. It was established primarily to promote rapid industrialization in all sectors of the Ghanaian economy. NIB was therefore the first development bank in Ghana. It was one of the commercial banks licensed by the Bank of Ghana, the national banking regulator. Currently, 70% of the bank's portfolio is made up of loans to the Ghanaian private sector. The bank, which has 36 branches, has undergone management, institutional and financial restructuring to strengthen the organization. NIB has in the past participated in foreign lines of credit, which were administered by the Bank of Ghana to meet term loan and working capital needs of the bank's customers. The Chief Executive Officer of the bank, Mr. Ernest Agbishi, said the NIB has put in place the technology infrastructure to compete with the other banks.
The banking system has witnessed dramatic changes with unprecedented increase and access to a lot more bank channels in the country, and electronic channels are becoming the order of the day. We at NIB have also put in place the technology infrastructure to also compete on this platform. Our desire is to open a lot of branches so that NIB branches can be within arm's reach of all our customers. We are on course with respect to this, as you are all witnesses to the opening of yet another branch in the central region. We have put in place a strategic plan to ensure that we offer you convenience in our quest to serve you.
The Municipal Chief Executive of Aguna West, Mr. Samuel Sapon, urged the bank to bring on board services that would enhance the banking business in the area.
When you open a new bank, there are 2 strategies. You flock and run, or you flock and remain. People will rush to open accounts, and after some time, if they are not satisfied, they will move away. Or they open a new account and they see that the strategy is good, it meets their own strategy, they remain. So I think NIB, once you have come, please, your clients, I want to implore you that find time to take them through how to manage their money.
NIB is a major lender in the manufacturing, building and construction and agro-processing sectors, as well as the service industry. It now operates as a universal bank focusing on development and commercial banking activities.
And that's all for business. Have a good evening.
Some health news brought to you by FPAC. FPAC blows your pain away. In the first 6 months of 2015, 235 girls between the ages of 13 and 15 in Bonahafo got pregnant, while 684 between 15 and 19 were also pregnant. These statistics from the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service show that the teenage pregnancy in the area is on the increase, and the Ghana Adolescent Reproductive Health Project has therefore inaugurated school health clubs in 21 basic schools in Sunyani.
The increasing spate of teenage pregnancy and its negative implications is evident across the country. The Bonahafo region in recent times has particularly been badly affected. Statistics from the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service place the region third worst affected by teenage pregnancy in the country. In 2014, the Bonahafo Health Directorate recorded 11,056 teenage pregnancies as against 6,214 in 2013. Only pregnant girls aged between 15 and 19 years old reported for antenatal care at the various health facilities in the region. Hence, the region was chosen to pilot the Ghana Adolescent Reproductive Health Project, which basically aims at improving life skills and behavioral change among adolescents. The project, which spans 3 years, is supported by UK aid and jointly implemented by the Sunyoy Municipal Assembly, the National Youth Authority, the GES, and the Ghana Health Service. At the inauguration of the school health clubs, the Sunyoy Municipal Director of Education, Madam Mary Jima, said between January and June this year, 235 girls between the ages of 13 and 15 got pregnant, while 684 of their compatriots between the ages of 15 and 19 also were pregnant. A director at the Sunyoy Municipal Assembly, Theresa Ejay Mensah, said the project also trains peer educators and sensitizes PTAs and other bodies to support the well-being of adolescents and also to sustain the project beyond 2017. The Municipal School Health Education Program Coordinator, Mrs. Lydia Ifadodu, was hopeful of a successful project by its scheduled cut-off point.
That was Health News by FPAC. Next is Sports, brought to you by Lonat. The head coach of the national under-17 male football team, the Black Starlets, Mr. Kwesi Fabian, says he will be scouting for talent for national use come Saturday. Coach Fabian was speaking at the official launch of the 2015 Inter-Schools Swimming and Football Gala at the Lizzie Sports Complex.
Here at Lizzie, we don't only have football, but we have other activities like swimming. We have basketball, volleyball, and we bring kids in here to come and do a lot and, like I said, unearth talents. This year, we're not only doing football, but we're also doing swimming. We all know that football is like the major sport here in Ghana. But this year, swimming has come on board so that we can have one lesser-known sport and then one major. Football being the major, swimming being the lesser-known in Ghana.
We believe that kids will have fun whilst they are having fun. They're also keeping healthy and strong. So the program is not just having fun and winning awards, but also keeping healthy and strong. That is why we came on board. We believe that whoever wins is already a winner in his or her own way, because taking advantage of the event and coming in at first to even participate is in its way, it's a challenge. Fortunately, we've not started recruitment for the under-17s, so we are still moving around. And anywhere there's football and there's the youth involved, I'm there to see what will come out of it. I believe at the end of the day, we might get one or two players who maybe can fit into the national under-17 team. It's been a while, and so we want to move heaven and earth to get the right materials to be able to put Mother Ghana where it belongs.
That was Sports, brought to you by Tobinco Pharmaceuticals. And now some international news. Myanmar's opposition National League for Democracy has won a landslide election victory with more than 80% of the contested seats now declared. Aung San Suu Kyi's party has more than the 2/3 it needs to choose the president. And in decades of military-backed rule, a quarter of seats are automatically held by the military, meaning it remains hugely influential. And under the constitution, Ms. Suu Kyi cannot become president herself. Despite this, the election was seen as the first openly contested poll in Myanmar, also known as Burma, in 25 years.